light-hearted bedtime story. My boyfriend and I tell bedtime stories back and forth. Usually he's telling one to me, though, and tonight he requested I write one for him. It's meant to be more of a fairy tale style than anything else, and very light-hearted. Enjoy. Once upon a time there was a princess named Katerina. She was the most beautiful princess in all the lands, and every prince alive wanted her hand in marriage because she was not only beautiful but intelligent and kind as well. But what no man knew was that she could not speak at all. She had been kidnapped at the age of 4 and had not spoken since her return. The resident fairy godmother of the castle said that it would take her one true love to get her to speak again, and her parents despaired, because they knew that for Katerina to find her one true love could take a lifetime. A prince named Lancifer was practicing his swordplay in a kingdom nearly a week's right away when a messenger burst into the courtyard calling for him. Lancifer, Lancifer, my lord prince, your parents call you to the throne room, he cried, dropping to one knee before the prince. This particular messenger had a tendency to overreact, and Prince Lancifer calmly sheathed his sword, replacing it where he got it from the sword rack. A servant wheeled the rack inside a storage room as Prince Lancifer followed the messenger to the throne room. Lancifer, it is time for you to find a wife, said the king. Ella has been nagging me about when you'll finally settle down and bring her grandchildren. You know how your mother wants grandchildren. No sooner than the word grandchildren had escaped from his mouth than the throne room doors burst open again. Jeremy, I heard every last word of that. I have not been nagging you, merely suggesting that you finally bring our son up here and tell him he must find a wife. As I see you have done so, I have brought you some cakes as a reward. She snapped her fingers, and a maid brought forth a platter with cookies and cakes upon it. This must last you the rest of the day, my love. She smiled and kissed the king. Lancifer, darling, I have heard that the Princess Katerina of Teroth is looking for a husband. I believe it is proper these days for suitors to call upon the female. And so tomorrow you are leaving for Teroth City, capital of Teroth. You will behave respectably. Your behavior reflects upon your father and your country. Lancifer bowed his head. Yes, mother. Is she a decent woman? You know I will not marry a girl whose only concern is when her next dress arrives. She is beautiful and kind, they say, and her parents are quite pleasant. You will enjoy yourself, I am sure. Ella waved her hand. You're dismissed. Go pack, dear. You leave early tomorrow morning. Prince Lancifer left and climbed the North Tower steps to his room at the top, grumbling about his mother the entire way. He threw a month's worth of clothes into a trunk and managed to fit a lute and 3 bottles of shampoo in as well. He left at dawn the next morning and traveled by carriage for the better part of a week before reaching Teroth City and the front gate of the castle of Teroth. I am Lancifer of Ryle, calling for Katerina of Teroth. He announced his presence to the castle guards, and they checked the seals on the 12 pieces of parchment his parents had packed in his road bag, knowing he'd need them to declare his suit for the lovely princess. The head guard saluted him as his carriage passed through the gates, and the king and queen of Teroth warmly welcomed him into their castle. Like home, he was put into rooms in the North Tower, but here he was on the bottom floor rather than the top. It was nice, he mused, not having to climb up 1,000 stairs when he was already exhausted. He collapsed on the bed and slept till dinner. At dinner, Lancifer sat across from the lovely Katerina and nervously smiled at her when he wasn't looking down at his plate. He made small talk with the king and queen, noticing the princess's strange absence from the conversation. Katerina, I am sure your voice is as lovely as the rest of you. Why, then, do you not speak? The queen stepped in and answered for her daughter. She has not spoken since she was stolen away as a child. We found her, but her voice has been lost to the threads of time. However, we have heard that she may regain her use of it if she is to meet and marry her one true love. He alone may coax her voice from her. Lancifer smiled. 'Tis a good thing, then, Nalati. I cannot stand a woman who has nothing better to do than talk my ear off. Katerina, would you like to go stargazing down on the river in tonight's time? Though the night sky cannot compare to your beauty, I would like nothing more than to gaze upon it with you beside me." She blushed and nodded, averting her gaze from the handsome prince. "Take her nursemaid as a chaperone," the queen said. "It will be most improper if you do not." "I would do nothing less," Lancifer said, deferring to the proper woman. "If you and the king would like to accompany us, you may. I think a picnic beneath the stars would be most wonderful. We could have small sweets and light drinks, I think. The stars come out far too late for a hearty dinner. We shall consider your offer and inform you tomorrow night." The queen smiled. "Thank you for your thoughtfulness. It is late now, and I'm afraid we must go to bed. Good night, Prince Lancifer." "Katerina, to bed with you." Lancifer waved at the princess as she followed her parents to their rooms, and he made his way back to the first floor of the North Tower, where he fell asleep as soon as his head touched his pillow. The next morning, he joined the Tear-Off royal family for breakfast, and greeted Katerina with a kiss on the back of her hand and a twinkle in his eye. "You are lovely, my dear lady. There are not words to describe to what extent, but know that you are the most beautiful creature I've ever laid eyes on." Katerina blushed and bowed her head as Lancifer rose from a bent knee. After they ate breakfast, he demonstrated his skill with sword and horse, and they dined on sandwiches in the gardens at lunch. Lancifer found he was quickly warming up to the quiet princess, and he took her hand as they wandered the gardens. She smiled sunnily at him, and he returned her smile. She led him through her favorite parts, and he requested to see the greenhouse full of the small trees her land was known for. As she accompanied Lancifer through the greenhouse, he told her stories of his home and childhood. She reacted wonderfully, smiling in all the right places and nearly crying when the moment called for it. They arrived to dinner together, her hair still messed from when they lay on their backs atop a hill, watching clouds pass by, and his hands still dirty from helping a gardener prune a tree. The next morning, Lancifer met Katerina again, and she bid him good morning. He was shocked. She wasn't supposed to talk. Her voice was hoarse and clearly rusty from lack of use, but still beautiful, he thought. "Will you accompany me to the music hall today?" she asked. "I would like to play for you." He nodded, ecstatic that she'd begun to talk again. She sat down in front of the piano, and beautiful music flowed forth from her fingertips. She poured her heart into the music, and Lancifer was overwhelmed with the love she projected through the notes at him. As the final notes faded from the air, he whispered, "I love you," and she returned in kind, "And I love you." That night, they gazed at stars and cuddled close on a blanket by the river, snacking on cookies and cakes. And every year they would take a trip to the river on the same day to gaze at the stars that night. For years they lived happily ever after, and their kingdoms grew strong together. The end. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and a serene river, there lived a curious little girl named Lily. Lily was known for her insatiable thirst for knowledge and her adventurous spirit. One clear, starry night, as the village slept peacefully, Lily's curiosity led her to the edge of the forest that bordered their home. As she ventured deeper into the woods, guided only by the gentle glow of the moonlight filtering through the thick canopy, she discovered a hidden path she had never seen before. Intrigued, she followed it, her heart beating with excitement. Along the way, she encountered a wise old owl perched on a branch. "Hello, young one," hooted the owl, his eyes twinkling with ancient wisdom. "You seem curious. Would you like to embark on a magical journey tonight?" Eagerly, Lily nodded, and the owl continued his tale. He spoke of a forgotten kingdom deep within the heart of the forest, a place where mythical creatures roamed freely and dreams took flight. Lily's eyes widened with wonder as the owl described enchanted castles, friendly dragons, and talking trees. With the owl as her guide, Lily embarked on an unforgettable adventure, meeting creatures she had only read about in storybooks. Together, they helped a kind-hearted unicorn find its lost horn, outsmarted mischievous forest imps, and danced under the shimmering light of fireflies. As dawn approached, the owl led Lily back to the edge of the village. With a grateful heart, she bid farewell to her newfound friend, promising to return to the magical kingdom one day. As she stepped back into her room, the first rays of the sun painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, and Lily snuggled into her bed with a smile on her face, knowing that magic truly existed in the world. And so, in the quiet moments of the night, the tale of Lily and the magical forest became a cherished bedtime story for generations, filling the dreams of children with the wonders of imagination and the endless possibilities of the world around them. Once upon a time, in an island there lived all the feelings and emotions, happiness, sadness, knowledge, and all of the others, including love. One day it was announced to them that the island would sink. So all constructed boats and left. Except for Love. Love wanted to hold out until the last possible moment. When the island had almost sunk, Love decided to ask for help. Richness was passing by Love in a boat. Love said, "Richness, can you take me with you?" Richness answered, "Sorry, Love, I can't. There is a lot of gold and silver in my boat, and so there is no place here for you." Love next asked Vanity, who was also sailing by. Vanity was also ready with the same answer. "I can't help you, Love. You are all wet and might damage my boat," Vanity answered. Sadness was close by, so Love asked, "Sadness, take me along with you." "Oh, Love, I am so sad that I need to be by myself," Sadness said in a sullen voice. Happiness passed by Love too, but she was so preoccupied with her happiness that she did not even hear when Love called her. Suddenly, there was a voice, "Come, Love, I will take you." It was an elder. An overjoyed Love jumped up into the boat, and in the process forgot to ask where they were going. When they arrived at a dry land, the elder went her own way. Realizing how much was owed to the elder, Love asked Knowledge, another elder, "Who helped me?" "It was Time," Knowledge answered. "Time," thought Love. Then, as if reading the face of Love, Knowledge smiled and answered, "Because only Time is capable of understanding how valuable love is and can offer." Once upon a time there was a young raven that was tired of being an ugly raven. It would sit at the top of the highest tree in the forest and watch with envy the eagles that could soar so effortlessly high above the world. The raven decided that if he worked hard, maybe he could teach himself to soar like that, and would then become the most popular raven for his beautiful flying skills. Each evening, he would sneak away from his friends and family and practice in secret. He would flap a few times and soar as far as he could manage before slipping, then repeat and push himself farther. His wings became stronger as the days passed. His endurance grew, and soon he was able to soar very far. He decided it was time to show off his new skills and impress all of the other ravens. One sunny day, as the ravens were gathered in a meadow, the proud young raven suddenly left and flew up high above the trees. He aimed for the clouds, much higher than any other raven had ever achieved. The other ravens became concerned and yelled at him to come back down, but he just flew higher. Then, as they were all watching, he soared like an eagle. The other ravens were speechless, then began to shout and applaud this amazing feat. Other animals took notice and also stopped to admire him. He soared for them for longer than he had ever practiced, his pride pushing him past his limits. He became tired. His wings failed. Soon he wasn't able to hold the position, and he slipped. He fell back to the earth as all the other animals of the forest stared in horror. Thankfully, a tree broke his fall, and he survived. His friends gathered around and asked what he was thinking, why he tried that in the first place. He explained sheepishly that he was depressed about being a raven and always wished he could be an eagle instead. A wise old raven reminded him that we are each blessed with skills. The eagle, and the raven are both blessed but in different ways. The trick is to discover your own unique skills and learn to soar in your own way. Striving for something else will only make you dissatisfied with your lot in life. The young raven took this advice. He continued soaring, but closer to the ground and only as far as he felt capable. He also developed many other amazing new skills and abilities. When he got old, he passed all these skills on to the next generation. This is why ravens flap a couple times and then soar. Once upon a time there was a beautiful 20-year-old named Samantha. One day Samantha was taking a walk in the village outskirts when she came across a neon blue sword with a very strange shape sticking out of the ground. She was a very curious girl, so she wanted to see more of it. It took all her might, but she ripped it out of the ground. She admired the blade in complete awe. Suddenly, an intimidating muscular man came out of the shadows and made his way to Samantha. He was very tall, and Samantha was very startled and slowly backed away. "Don't worry, there is nothing to be afraid of. I am not here to hurt you," said the man. Samantha calmed down a bit, but was still very wary. "What do you want?" said Samantha. "Is this your blade?" "Oh no, that blade is actually—" The man stopped the sentence dead in its tracks. Suddenly, the look of complete terror appeared on his face. "Oh, please no. Not now. Any time, but not now." Spaghetti started falling out of his pockets at extreme speeds. "What the?" Samantha said, confused and disgusted. Double quotes, "No, please, I'm so sorry." The spaghetti increased. Now it was not only noodles, but the sauce too. Fully cooked and prepared spaghetti was not staining his pants and falling out at an extreme rate. "I'm begging you, just put an end to me. I'll do what I can," Samantha slowly said. She raised the sword and, with a burst of newfound energy and prowess, slayed the man at one fell swoop. "It's over." The sword disappeared from her hands. Samantha went home and had curry. She never forget about the man. Once upon a time, there was a young eel deep in the coral reef. He lived a happy life and never thought of anything but feasting on the tasty fish and shrimp that lived in the bottom of the ocean with him, swimming and feeling the push of the tide as it drew him in and out, and sleeping in his comfortable hidey hole. It was a comfortable life, and he was content. Until one day, as he was swimming about, a wise old shark swam by. "Little eel," said the shark, "are you not lonely? Do you not often wish for companionship?" The little eel thought about it. "No, sir," he said. "I am quite content swimming around and eating delicious shrimp and living in my hidey hole." "Suit yourself," said the old shark. But as he swam away, he added, "Might as well forget I asked." Now, if that shark had said something like, "Mark my words," or if the shark had emphasized the importance of it, then the young eel would have done just that. But since the shark had made nothing of it, and in fact had told the eel to forget it, quite naturally the eel could think of nothing else for days. And because he could think of nothing else, he became very unhappy with his life indeed. He became bitter about his shrimp and fish dinners and uncomfortable with his hidey hole. And when he went out to swim with the tide, surrounded by the population of the reef, it only made him feel lonelier. "Oh, stuff all these things," he said. "I was never unhappy about it. But now I am unhappy without a companion. I must find one." And so the young eel swam off in search of a companion. Within minutes, he found another eel. "Hello, Miss Eel," he said to her. "Would you like to be my companion?" "Oh no," she said. "I have a companion already, and all these little fry to take care of, but thank you for the offer." And he swam away disappointed, but he did not expect to be so lucky on the first try. He came up to another eel a couple of hours later. "Hello, Miss Eel," he said to her. "I would like a companion." "You would you?" said she. "Well, good luck with your search. Would you like to be my companion?" he asked. "I am not interested in a companion at this time." And he swam away quite perturbed. A couple of days later, he came upon another eel. "My dearest Miss Eel," he said to her. "Isn't it a lovely day for companionship? Would you like to join me?" "No," she said. "Why not?" asked he. "Because," she said in all honesty, "you seem a bit too eager for companionship to me, and I wonder, what is it you are looking for that you haven't found?" "I am looking for a companion," he said. "I was happy in my hole, eating shrimp and fish and swimming with the tide, but then I realized that I did not have a companion, and that I must have a companion to be happy." "But my dear Mr. Eel," she replied, "if you are not satisfied without a companion, what makes you think you will find something with one? Companionship is as much about giving as it is about taking. Are you ready to give?" "I can tell you are not. You are thinking only of what you want. Now do go. I have had a busy day of swimming and need my rest." And the young eel was more frustrated than ever and darted back to his hidey hole. Bitter and upset, he had been there a week, pouting and grouchy, before the shark swam by again. "What's this?" he asked the little eel. "What happened to my happy young eel? I think I have not seen an eel so miserable as this in all my years. Do you no longer enjoy your shrimp and fish, and your swimming with the tide and your cows?" "Hidey-hole, no," the young eel merely shouted. "I do not have a companion to share this with me, and I must have one to be happy," he said. "Oh dear," said the shark, "you do now, you didn't before." "Well, yes," said the eel. "I was quite content before, but then the idea of having a companion, well, it seemed so nice. Someone I can snuggle with in my cozy hidey hole. I can catch a big fish or shrimp and split it with her. We can swim in the ocean together. Those sound quite nice. But they seem quite nice even without a companion. No, well, yes. But now that I think of how it might feel to do them with someone, perhaps that is the case. Perhaps there is no more enjoyment to be had in these things," said the shark, and he swam away. Now if that shark had pointed out to the eel that the things he had enjoyed were still just as fun as they had been before, the eel never would have thought another thing of it. But because the shark said there was no more enjoyment to be had, the young eel began to think, "You know, I do still like my hidey hole. It is a very nice hidey hole by itself, and I enjoy swimming in the water just as much as I always did. And the little fish I ate yesterday was particularly good. I would enjoy them just as much as I did before if I don't have a companion. Why would I miss the joy without them?" And so the little eel stopped worrying about having a companion and began to enjoy his life once again. He still had that longing in his heart, but he was no longer a miserable young eel. He was happy again. 1 month later, the water was warming up as spring began to arrive, and he was just the happiest little eel swimming about, when someone came up to him. "Pardon me," she said, "I couldn't help but notice how much you were enjoying the water here." "Dance with me," said the little eel. "It's fun, but it's even more fun if we do it together." And she did, and the two eels spun and coiled and danced, and all the fish and life around the reef were amazed at the beauty of their dance. Just then, the eel spotted a large tiger shrimp. "Over there," he said to the other eel. "Those taste wonderful, but they are too large for one little eel to eat. Would you like to split one with me?" "Oh, I don't know," she replied. "You don't have to if you don't want to. Here, I'll catch some for myself, and you may try it if you like." And he shot forward and snapped and bit the tiger shrimp clean in two. He nudged the tastiest part, the head, to the female eel, and she ate it. Together, they ate the delicious shrimp. "You know," she said, "I've had them before, but for some reason, like this, it tastes better." "Yes," the little eel yawned, I think you're right." And the little eel was very tired. "I must retire to my cozy hidey hole. It is truly a nice hidey hole. Great for sleep. I am tired." "Oh, I do love a good hidey hole," she said. Would you like to share mine with me?" "I do believe I would." And so the young eel snuggled up in his hidey hole with his new companion, and they went to sleep. Yeah, joke ending. Wise old shark watched all this from afar, While an even older lobster ambled up to him, you knew that the little eel would finally find love all along the lobster. Of course, said the shark, that's a murray. So this girl orders a pizza in the middle of the day, and somehow the place delivers. I get to her place with her pizza, and it's a ridiculous-sized pizza for one person, and wouldn't you know it, she has no money. Not sure who orders a pizza with no money, but the pizza guy doesn't seem too upset by this. She invites him in despite the fact that he probably has more deliveries, and to your surprise he comes in. Her house is amazing, which is ironic 'cause she has no money in the whole place. The pizza guy is like, what should we do about this pizza? And the girl, who by the way isn't dressed appropriately to have company over, says, I really want that pizza, and I'll do anything. The pizza guy is a little taken back by this, and thinks to himself, I can really take advantage of this opportunity. He sits down on the couch, holding the pizza box awkwardly, and begins to open it. The girl's eyes open widely and she says, is that sausage? The pizza man replies, didn't you order extra large sausage? Her parents then come home and luckily have money, so they pay for the pizza and tip the guy well for his time. The end. Once upon a time there was a successful hitman named Whack-A-Mole. Mr. Owl got involved in the business of termination at a young age. He used a garrote on his first target at 22. Since then he'd traveled all over the world, Rome, Istanbul, Tehran, Hong Kong, building his reputation as a silent killer, a shadow in the corner, a virtual boogeyman for those important enough to warrant a bounty. He was hired by CEOs and heads of state and agencies too secretive for him to know their name. Sometimes the missions required him to dress up as a hotel staff. Sometimes they required him to be a sophisticated socialite. Sometimes he had to dress in filth and wait in a back alley. And others he had to lay on a gravel roof for hours while the sun beat his brow. Sometimes he used a gun, sometimes a knife, sometimes he had to strangle them with his bare hands. Whatever the job required, he delivered. He left no unhappy clients. He never left unpaid. And it was another such night that he lay on a rooftop, staring through the scope of a sniper rifle across at a neighboring skyscraper. Mr. Owl's static attention sharpened as one of the Skyline's apartments lit up. The scope's magnification allowed Mr. Owl to see his target's profile clearly. His target crossed the living area warily and flicked on the lights in his bedroom. Warily he sighed and began to set his briefcase, keys, and wallet in their proper space. Mur. I'll flick the safety off. His finger crept closer to the trigger. Then suddenly, another figure ran in. A small figure. The target's daughter wasn't supposed to be here. Wasn't expected. The girl jumped into his arms and hugged him tight. Mr. Owl could see even from here the smile that came to the tired man's face. The little girl showed him a piece of paper drawing. It made him laugh, and he hugged her again. Mur. Owl watched all this impassively. Then his finger slowly withdrew from the trigger. He lay there a few moments longer, watching his target and the daughter move out of sight. Then he stood, packed up the rifle, and slowly he walked away. It didn't matter who wanted him dead, or what he'd done to deserve the bounty. It had stopped mattering to Whack-A-Mole a long time ago. The end. A man, an adventurer, explored deep into the unknown, past vast deserts, countless oceans, and deep jungles. He fought off tigers and lions, swam with dolphins, and rode on camels. But he always felt something was missing. Something was wrong with his wife. But no matter how far he went, no matter what he did, that hole was always there. So the adventurer went on wilder and wilder missions, looking for something to fill that void. He flew the world's first plane right across the Pacific Ocean. He tried gin joints and whiskey parlors, but still that hole persisted. He turned to crime. He sailed the 7 seas as a pirate, even had a parrot, smuggled opium across borders, and fought gentlemen with blade and pistol. Still this hole persisted. His life wasn't complete. He was an old man now. He had been adventuring his entire life, saving artifacts from temples and rescuing a damsel or two whilst he was at it. But he never stuck around. He continued to search for that bit of meaning to his life. He went north to see the northern lights. He went south to see penguins, to the Wild West to hunt bounties, but he went east last. When he went east he found new foods and spices, whilst tasty still didn't patch that hole in his life. He smuggled opium across the border, but the thrill and highs soon ran out. He meditated with the Dalai Lama, but none of it worked. Not until he met Sun. He had met beautiful women before, even rescued a few of them. He'd known love, known heartache, but when he met Sun, all of that fell away when she gave him a happy ending. This is the sad tale of Jack. In his youth, Jack was a bright and happy child, loved by his parents, the proprietors of the largest Jack's factory in the area. Life seemed a dream, until one day a nightmare. The details of the accident that tore Jack's life apart are somewhat murky. Neighbors remember hearing a rumbling from the factory floor in the small hours of the morning, and all investigators found was poor Jack in the center of the room surrounded by blood. Crimson blood. Having his happy own life stripped from him so suddenly left Jack understandably disturbed, and as such, he was placed in the care of a state sanatorium. For years Jack simply sat in his padded room playing jacks, the very same which ripped his family and mine to shreds. Jack played incessantly, without stop, staring blankly as he snatched the jacks from the floor. Onesies, twosies, 13C, though some would debate the legitimacy of his success, being that the floor was made of rubber. Soon the jacks were all Jack could comprehend. Otherwise utterly closed off to the world around him. He began to lose grip on his own self, to lose himself in the game. Jack identified, in some way, with the jacks. As he threw them down again onto the rubber floor and watched them bounce into the air, he saw himself in the 5-starred figures. He began to emulate them, leaping into the air, splaying his arms and legs, attempting to mimic the shape. He eventually stopped playing jacks altogether, preferring to leap in this manner. As this activity went on, Jack became toned, more agile, his constant physical exertion having its effect. Soon he was stronger than the orderlies could contend with, and one day without warning decided to leave the sanatorium, uninhibited by the comparatively out-of-shape staff. Jack leaped down the halls, out the door, and off into the world in his starfish-esque way. Jack traveled the land like this, passing on his method by way of demonstration to middle school gym classes around the country. He single-handedly creating the great calisthenic tradition of jumping jacks, or the side straddle hop in our military tradition across this great land. God bless America. The cats nestle close to their kittens. The lambs have laid down with the sheep. You are cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please go the fuck to sleep. The windows are dark in the town, child. The whales huddled down in the deep. I'll read you one very last book if you swear you'll go the fuck to sleep. The eagles who soar through the sky are at rest, and the creatures who crawl, run, and creep. I know you're not thirsty. That's bullshit. Stop lying. Lie the fuck down, my darling, and sleep. The wind whispers soft through the grass on the field mice. They make not a peep. It's been 38 minutes already. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Go to sleep. All the kids from daycare are in dreamland. The froggy has made his last leap. Hell no, you can't go to the bathroom. You know where you can go. The fuck to sleep. The owls fly forth from the treetops. Through the air they soar, and they sweep. The hot crimson rage fills my heart. Love, for real, shut the fuck up and sleep. The cubs and the lions are snoring, snore wrapped in a big, snuggly heap. How come you can do all this other great shit but you can't lie the fuck down and sleep? The seeds slumber beneath the earth now, and the crops that the farmers will reap. No more questions. This interview's over. I've got 2 words for you, kid. Fucking sleep. The tiger reclines in the Siberian jungle. The sparrow has silenced her cheep. Fuck your stuffed bear. I'm not getting you shit. Close your eyes, cut the crap, sleep. Flowers doze low in the meadows, and high on the mountains so steep. My life is a failure, I'm a shitty-ass parent. Stop fucking with me please, and sleep. The giant pangolins of Madagascar are snoozing as I lie here and openly weep. Sure, fine, whatever. I'll bring you some milk? Who the fuck cares? You're not gonna sleep. This room is all I can remember. The furniture crappy and cheap. You in? You estate. You run down the hall as I nod the fuck off and sleep. Blurry and dazed I awaken to find your eyes shut. So, I keep my fingers crossed tight as I tiptoe away and pray that you're fucking asleep. We're finally watching our movie. Popcorn's in the microwave. Beep. Oh shit. God damn it. You've got to be kidding. Go the fuck back to sleep. Once upon a time, in a kingdom very near here, there was a brave and bold fairy. He and his kind were not the size of your thumb, and yet he possessed a heart as true and as good as yours. His name was Thorn. Thorn was young and braver than most, and was as pure of heart as the mountain stream. Few could match him with sword or with bow, and he flew like all the winds combined. He had much to be proud about, but his blood he was less so. He was a knight in all but name, scorned by most noble fairies for being a commoner. But only noble fairies could be knights, and only knights could join the grand tournament at Stonehaven, held in honor of the King Ferodich's name-day. Thorn desperately wished to compete, for whoever won the tournament would gain the hand of the king's beautiful eldest daughter, the lovely Princess Chura. You see, the Princess Chura loved Thorn very much and despised the rules preventing them from being together. So she went to her father and persuaded him to add one more prize to the winner's purse. In addition to her hand in marriage, the victor would get to ask one request of the king that could not be refused. There were 3 great challenges in this tournament: archery, a melee, and the joust. Over 100 knights entered for a chance to win Princess Chura's hand, including Thorn, who lied and said he was Sir Bramble of Oakfield. The victor was the one who won the majority of challenges. If 3 different knights won each, Princess Chura would get the choice of who to marry. The archery contests start with the archers, but 20 paces from their targets, taking a step back from it every time they hit. Eventually only 2 fairies were left, Sir Storn and the disguised Thorn. Every shot one made the other did as well. They shot so many arrows that the targets were as prickly as a porcupine and very far away. So Thorn broke the tie by tying a cloth around his eyes, shooting his bow blind. He made the shot barely. When his challenger tried it, he failed, and so Thorn won the archery contest. The melee was an open field surrounded by the nobles and ladies of the court, who sat under awnings of gaily colored silk. Armed with dull swords and wearing plate armor, the knights fought in a free-for-all battle, knights dueling with one another until someone surrendered and left the field. Knowing that many of the knights were better swords fairies than he, Thorn stood in a quiet corner of the melee field and waited. The other knights ignored him, focusing their efforts on others. The plan seemed to work until Thorn spied another fairy doing the same. The other one was just a boy, a squire really, and Thorn did feel like hurting him. And so when only he, the boy, and one more knight were left, Thorn fought that 3rd knight, defeating him soundly. Without even being touched, Thorn threw down his sword, surrendering to the newly made knight. Thus did Sir Robin the Unlikely win the grand melee. The joust was done on back of sparrows, and the use of a lance was something Thorn was not as skilled in. I would like to say he proved himself wrong, that he miraculously defeated all his foes at the tilt. But alas, this is not a work of fiction. He lost, and terribly so. The victory went to a large and famed knight named Sir Todd the Undefeatable. The 3 victors, Sirs Todd, Robin, and the still disguised Thorn, though she could see his face behind his helmet. Princess Chura knew that the 3rd knight had to be her love Thorn. She chose him to marry and bade him remove his helm so as to kiss him. As he did so, the crowd gasped in shock. He was no knight. He lied to gain entry into the tournament. The king ordered him arrested, and was about to send him down to the dungeons when Princess Chura cried aloud that her father still had his request to bestow upon Thorn. Her father scoffed and said that criminals didn't get such things, and demanded her to pick another husband. The two knights Sirs Robin and Todd stepped back and refused, claiming that the princess already made her choice. Grudgingly, the king allowed Thorn to make his request. Thorn bowed to a king and took Princess Chura's hands in his own. He asked her father to knight him there and then, and in so doing make him eligible to marry his beloved. King Tharotic did so, proclaiming his Sir Thorn the Unexpected, and gave his blessing to marry his daughter. Chura and Thorn, the last hurdle of their love solved, kissed, holding each other tightly. They would marry, raise children, and live happily ever after.